The stars looked peaceful that night. Captain Arya Vale stood at the observation deck of the Erebus Dawn, a quiet ship drifting between the moons of Callion. Beyond the thick glass of the viewport, the universe seemed endless, a sea of silver dust and glowing worlds. But to Arya, it was a lonely silence. She had commanded the Erebus Dawn for 4 years. Once it had been a proud exploration ship, carrying dreams of humanity's future across the unknown. Now it was a carrier of survivors, a home for broken people after the Orion conflict. Humanity had survived the war, but the cost had been heavy. The stars that once inspired them now reminded them of loss. The hum of the engines was soft, almost like breathing. Arya's reflection stared back at her, tired eyes, brown hair tied back neatly, and a faint scar on her temple from the last battle. The silence pressed against her heart. "Captain," came a gentle voice from behind her. It was Lieutenant Cale Anders, the ship's science officer. He was tall, quiet, and always carried an expression that seemed both curious and sad. He held a datapad in his hands. "Report from engineering," he said softly. "We've completed repairs on the secondary life support systems. But we might need to land soon. The oxygen recyclers are getting old." Arya nodded slowly. "Any suitable planets nearby?" Cale tapped on his datapad. "One designation, Epsilon 4, oxygen-based atmosphere, but uncharted. It's on the dark side of the system, though. Constant night cycle." She turned to face him fully. "Constant night?" "Yes," Kyle said. "No sunlight reaches the surface. The planet is tidally locked to its star, always dark." Arya looked out the window again. "After everything we've seen, a world of darkness doesn't scare me." Cale gave a faint smile. "You always say that before we end up in trouble." The descent to Epsilon 4 was silent. The Erebus Dawn moved through a blanket of thick black clouds. The ship's lights barely pierced the fog, and every sound echoed through the hull like whispers in a cave. When they finally broke through the clouds, the crew gasped. Below them spread an endless landscape of bioluminescent forests. Trees shimmered in shades of blue and green, glowing softly like lanterns under the night sky. Rivers of light ran across the ground, pulsing gently as if alive. "It's beautiful," whispered Ensign Mira, the youngest on board. Her wide eyes sparkled as she pressed her hands to the glass. Arya smiled faintly. "Prepare landing sequence." As the ship touched down near a glowing riverbank, the crew stepped out, dressed in light exosuits. The air was cool and still, filled with faint mist. It smelled clean, something they had not felt in months. Cale scanned the area. "Atmosphere's stable. No immediate threats detected. Gravity normal. We can remove helmets." One by one they lifted their visors. The air felt soft, almost comforting. The forest around them pulsed slowly, light moving through the trees like heartbeats. "It's like the planet is alive," Mira whispered. Cale crouched near the river. "It's reacting to us," he said. "Look." Where his hand brushed against a plant, the glow brightened, spreading outward in gentle waves. Arya looked up. The stars were hidden behind clouds, but the forest's light made the darkness beautiful. For the first time in years, she felt calm. "Let's set up camp here," she said quietly. "We all need rest." Hours later, the crew gathered around portable heaters, talking softly. Someone was playing a quiet tune from an old Earth recording, something slow and warm. Arya sat slightly apart, gazing at the glowing river. Kyle joined her, carrying 2 cups of synthesized tea. "You should rest, Captain," he said, handing her one. "I will," she replied. "After my mind stops spinning." Cale chuckled. "Still thinking about the war?" "Always." She looked at the reflection of the glowing trees in the water. "So many lives lost. Sometimes I wonder if humanity deserves to start again." Cale looked at her, his expression thoughtful. "Maybe that's exactly why we do deserve it. We learn, we adapt. Even after we destroy, we try to rebuild." Arya didn't answer right away. The wind whispered through the glowing leaves, and the light seemed to dance around them. "Do you ever miss Earth?" she asked softly. Kyle smiled faintly. "Every day. The sound of rain, the smell of the sea, the way morning sunlight used to fall through the windows. I miss breathing without fear," she whispered. "Back then, every breath was easy. Now it feels like we have to earn it." Cale looked at the forest. "Maybe this place can remind us how." As the night deepened, a strange sound echoed through the valley. It was low, like distant thunder, but rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat coming from the earth itself. The crew went silent. Arya stood up, hand instinctively moving to her sidearm. Kale adjusted his scanner. It's not mechanical, it's biological. Something moved beyond the trees, a massive shadow, slow and deliberate. The bioluminescent plants dimmed as it passed, as if bowing before it. Mira's voice trembled. What is that? Arya's voice stayed calm. Hold your ground. Then from the darkness a shape emerged. It wasn't a beast or machine. It was something between both. Tall, elegant, covered in plates that shimmered faintly with light. Its face had no eyes, only glowing lines that pulsed gently. Kyle whispered, It's observing us. Arya took a slow breath and stepped forward. We come in peace, she said clearly, her voice steady. The creature tilted its head and the lines on its body changed color, from deep blue to pale white. The air seemed to vibrate. Then in a voice like wind and distant bells, it spoke. You breathe the still air. You bring warmth. The crew froze. Kale's eyes widened. It's speaking our language, or something close. Arya swallowed her surprise. We are travelers, she said. We seek rest. We mean no harm. The being stepped closer, towering over her, yet its movements were graceful. The light on its chest pulsed slowly, matching Arya's heartbeat. Your hearts echo with pain, it said softly. But you listen, you feel. You are not like the others who burned the stars. Arya frowned. Others? The creature's light dimmed. Those who took the night from us long ago. Then it looked toward the sky, where distant stars glimmered faintly through the mist. Perhaps you are different, perhaps you can learn to breathe again. Before Arya could respond, the being stepped back into the darkness. The forest brightened once more, glowing with gentle blue light. For a long moment, no one spoke. Kyle broke the silence first. Captain! Whatever that was, it knew something about us. Arya's gaze lingered on the path where the creature had vanished. Then we'll find out, she said quietly. Because I think this planet has more to say than we realize. She looked up at the sky again, the stillness of night pressing around her like a soft blanket. And for the first time in years, her heart didn't feel heavy. It felt like it could breathe. Morning never came on Epsilon 4. The sky remained dark, soft and endless, the glowing forest acting as the only source of light. The crew of the Erebus Dawn woke slowly, still shaken by their encounter with the tall, glowing being. Captain Arya stood outside the temporary camp, arms crossed, watching the shimmering trees breathe with slow pulses of blue light. She hadn't slept much. The creature's words kept returning to her mind. Your hearts echo with pain. You are not like the others who burned the stars. She did not know who those others were, but the way it spoke made her uneasy. Humanity was not innocent. She knew that better than anyone. Kyle walked up beside her, rubbing tiredness from his eyes. You didn't sleep, he said quietly. Not enough, she replied. The creature knew something, Kyle, something about us. He nodded slowly. I've been thinking about that. If there were others, another species maybe, who visited this world before us, then we need to learn what happened. It could be connected to why the planet is always dark. Arya glanced at him. Darkness is a memory? Maybe, Kale said softly. Planets don't just stay in eternal night without reason. Before Arya could answer, Mira came running from camp, her face pale. Captain, you need to see this. Arya and Kale followed her quickly. Inside the camp, the glowing plants they had collected as samples the night before had changed. Instead of steady pulses of light, they flickered like nervous hearts. Some dimmed completely, curling inward like frightened animals. What happened to them? Mira asked, voice trembling. No idea, Kale said, kneeling to examine one. Maybe they're reacting to something nearby. Before he finished speaking, the ground trembled softly beneath their feet. Not a violent shake, more like a deep breath coming from the soil itself. Arya steadied herself. Everyone outside, now. The crew stepped out, forming a circle. The trees around them brightened suddenly, glowing almost white. Then the light faded instantly. Darkness washed over the forest like a wave. Only faint sparks remained, small dots of color floating in the air like fireflies. It's never done that before, Mira whispered. Kale swallowed. The forest is reacting to something. Something large. From far away, the same rhythmic sound they heard last night began again, a deep heartbeat-like pulse. But this time it was stronger, closer. Arya's voice was calm but firm. We stay together. No weapons unless needed. As the sound grew louder, The glowing sparks gathered in front of them, forming a thin path, almost like the forest itself was guiding them. Kale looked at Arya. "It wants us to follow." Arya took a breath. "Then we follow." They moved quietly through the woods. The path glowed only enough to show their next steps. Strange shapes moved between the trees, slender creatures with soft lights on their bodies watching from a distance but not approaching. Every time the humans passed, the creatures bowed their heads slightly, then faded into the shadows. Mira whispered, "They're not scared of us." "No," Kyle replied. "They're curious." After nearly an hour of walking, the forest opened into a vast clearing. In the center stood a structure ancient, tall, and covered in dark vines. It looked like a temple, but not one made by humans. Its pillars curved like the ribs of a giant animal, and the roof shimmered faintly with symbols that flickered in colors the human eye struggled to understand. Arya stepped forward, amazed. "This is incredible." Kyle scanned the structure. "It's old. Thousands of years at least, maybe more." The rhythmic pulse grew louder. It was coming from the temple. Then, from behind one of the pillars, the tall, glowing being emerged, the same one they had met the night before. Its body shone softly in silver light, brightening as it approached. "You returned," it said in its gentle, wind-like voice. "Your hearts listen." "This is good." Arya stepped forward. "We came because we want to understand." "Who are you?" The creature tilted its head. "We are the Luminar, keepers of the night, watchers of silence. We breathe with this world as it breathes with us." Kyle stepped beside Arya. "What did you mean yesterday? About others who burned the stars?" The Luminar's light dimmed, as if remembering something painful. "Long ago, before your kind walked the stars, another race came. They moved across the galaxies with fire and hunger. They took worlds, drained their light, stole their heat. They left behind only darkness." Mira shivered. "They attacked you?" "Yes," the Luminar answered. "They came with machines that ate the sky. They tried to take the heart of this world. They tried to silence the night." Arya frowned. "But why would they want to destroy light?" "To control," the being said. "To dominate everything that lived. They feared worlds that grew strong in peaceful night. They feared hearts that did not obey." Kyle exchanged a troubled glance with Arya. "What happened to them?" The Luminar's voice became distant. "We fought, we lost. We survived. The planet locked itself in eternal night to protect what little life remained. The sun was hidden. The sky was shielded," Arya's breath caught. "A planetary defense mechanism?" "Yes," the being said softly. "The world sleeps, and we watch over it." The crew was silent. The idea that an entire planet had chosen darkness to save itself was overwhelming. Arya finally spoke. "So why let us land here? Why speak to us?" The Luminar stepped closer, its light warm and gentle. "Because your hearts are broken. You carry pain, but also hope. You arrive not with fire, but with quiet. With longing. With life," Kale whispered. "You can feel our emotions." "We feel the echo of your hearts in the soil," the Luminar said. "You do not hide your breath. It is honest. That makes you different from the ones who came before." The ground trembled slightly again. This time the Luminar turned toward the temple. "Come, you must see what remains." Arya nodded. "Lead the way." Inside the temple, the air felt warm and soft, like stepping into a giant living creature. The walls glowed faintly, covered in moving symbols that reacted to the crew's presence. At the center of the room lay a large crystal, dark, cracked, and silent. It pulsed once very faintly as if trying to wake. "This," the Luminar said, "is the heart of night. The core of this world's life. When the invaders came, it was wounded. It sleeps now, and so does the planet." Arya stepped forward gently. "Can it be healed?" The Luminar looked at her. "We do not know. We have tried for generations. It does not listen to us anymore." Kale touched the scanner to the crystal. The screen flickered strangely. It reacts to our biosignatures." Arya raised an eyebrow. "Human signatures?" "Yes," Kale said. "Maybe because our energy patterns are different from the Luminar." The Luminar watched them with calm curiosity. "Your hearts carry both pain and fire. A strange mix, perhaps. The heart can hear you," Mira whispered. "It wants us to try." Arya placed her hand on the crystal surface. It felt warm, warmer than it looked. A soft pulse moved under her fingers. For a moment she felt something, an emotion not her own. A deep sadness, a lonely cry echoing through ages. She gasped. It's alive. Kyle touched the crystal as well. Mira followed. Slowly, all three felt the warmth grow. The crystal brightened slightly. The walls pulsed in response. The Luminar stepped back, surprised. It hears you. Arya felt the warmth strengthen, but she also felt something else. A strange pull, like the planet was trying to speak through her breath. Kale whispered, "Captain, something's happening." Then the crystal flashed. Not bright enough to blind them, but bright enough to fill the entire hall with soft white light. When the light faded, Arya staggered back, breath shaking. "I saw something," Kale steadied her. "What did you see?" "Not what," Arya whispered. "Who?" She looked toward the temple entrance where the night outside seemed to pulse with new energy. "I saw the invaders," she said softly. "And they're not gone." The Luminar's light dimmed sharply. Then the darkness has returned. Arya's heart beat fast. Humanity had escaped one war, only to step into another's shadow, and this time the night itself was calling for their help. The air inside the ancient temple had grown heavier. The glowing walls dimmed until only the faint pulse of the heart of night remained. Captain Arya Vale stood in silence, her hand still tingling from the energy she had felt through the crystal. Around her, the crew of the Erebus Dawn waited quietly. Kale's scanner buzzed with strange readings. Mira's face was pale but calm, and the tall being of light, the Luminar, stood near the doorway, its soft glow flickering like a candle in the wind. "The invaders you saw," the Luminar said, its voice low and distant. "They have returned to the edge of this system." Arya looked up sharply. "How can you tell?" "The stars themselves whisper," the Luminar replied. "Their ships burn with the same fire that once tried to silence this world." "They are near." Kale frowned, scanning again. "Captain, I'm picking up faint energy signatures in orbit." "3 ships. They're not ours." The crew exchanged worried glances. Humanity had barely survived its own war. Another conflict was the last thing they needed. Arya straightened. "Can we contact the Erebus Dawn?" Mira nodded. "Yes, but there's interference from the planet's field. We'll need to get to higher ground for a clean signal." Arya looked at the Luminar. "If these invaders are returning, this world is in danger again." The Luminar bowed its head. "It always was. We could only keep the night safe for so long." Arya turned to her crew. "Then we'll help. Humanity didn't come this far just to watch another world fall into darkness." The journey back to the Erebus Dawn was tense. The glowing forest seemed quieter, as if holding its breath. The rhythmic heartbeat of the world had changed, faster, uneasy. As they approached their landing site, the crew saw the ship waiting, half covered in mist. The hull lights flickered like nervous stars. Kale ran a diagnostic. "Shields are stable. Weapons offline. We weren't expecting a fight." Arya stepped into the airlock, her voice calm but firm. "Then we'll have to improvise. Humanity's greatest strength has always been adaptation." Inside the command deck, screens came to life. Orbit readings confirmed what Kale had seen. 3 unknown ships entering the system. Their energy signatures burned bright red across the dark map. Mira whispered, "They're getting closer." Arya clenched her jaw. "Open a channel." Static filled the air, then a cold mechanical voice answered. "Unregistered vessel. You are in restricted space. Identify." Arya replied clearly. "This is Captain Arya Vale of the human ship Erebus Dawn. We come in peace." There was silence, then a mocking tone. "Humans, we remember your kind. You spread like embers once before. You will not again." The signal cut. Kale's hands tightened on the console. "They know about us." Arya stared at the dark screen. "Or they think we're the same as those who came before." Outside, faint red lights appeared in the sky, shapes moving through the atmosphere, descending slowly. Hours passed as they prepared. The Erebus Dawn had no heavy weapons, only mining lasers and shields meant for exploration, but Arya refused to run. Kale worked with the Luminar, who had come aboard the ship for the first time. The being's light mixed strangely with the ship's systems, syncing with its power core. "Your machines? Breathe like we do," the Luminar said softly. Kale smiled faintly. "Maybe that's why your heart reacted to us." Meanwhile, Arya stood near the window, watching streaks of red in the sky. "They're landing," she said. 3 ships. West of our position." Mira looked up nervously. "Should we attack first?" Arya shook her head. No, we'll talk first. We'll show them humanity is not their enemy. Kyle gave her a look. And if they don't want to talk? Arya smiled faintly. Then we remind them why humans are called survivors. The ground trembled again. Outside, glowing plants dimmed as if the planet itself was afraid. Through the mist came the shapes of the invaders' ships, tall, sharp and black, with red energy lines running across their surfaces. Figures stepped out. They were mechanical in form, with sleek armor that shimmered faintly. Their faces were smooth, without eyes, just narrow slits of red light. Arya stepped forward alone, hands raised. We are not your enemies. The lead invader tilted its head. You carry human breath. Human memory. You destroyed light long ago. Arya's voice was steady. Not us, those were others, long before our time. Humanity has changed. The being's tone was cold. Change is illusion. Fire always burns, behind Arya. Kale whispered into the comms. Captain, their ships are charging weapons. Arya didn't move. Please, she said, her voice soft but firm. This world has suffered enough. Let it heal. For a moment, the invader didn't respond. Then its head turned slightly. Your hearts pulse differently. The Luminar stepped forward then, glowing brighter than before. They speak truth, it said. These humans are not the destroyers. They carry warmth, not hunger. The invader's light flickered, uncertain. And if you are wrong? Arya took a step closer. Then you'll have my word and my life. But if you fight, you'll destroy another chance for peace. The silence stretched. The planet seemed to wait. Even the forest stopped glowing, holding still in the dark. Then, deep beneath the ground, the heart of night pulsed. Once, twice, 3 times. Each pulse brighter than the last, the air shimmered. Light spilled from the cracks in the earth, running through the soil like glowing rivers. Kale gasped. The heart is waking up! The Luminar's eyes widened. It responds to her voice. Arya turned toward the temple's direction. The light from the planet reached her, wrapping around her body like soft threads of silver. She felt warmth in her chest, a connection alive and powerful. Kale shouted, Captain! The heart is channeling through you. The invaders stepped back as the light spread across the clearing. The sky above turned from endless dark to deep blue, then faint gray. For the first time in thousands of years, Epsilon 4 saw the hint of dawn. The leader of the invaders stared in disbelief. Impossible. The world cannot awaken. Arya spoke softly, her voice carrying across the valley. You see? Light doesn't always burn. Sometimes it heals. The invaders hesitated. Their red lights flickered like fading embers. Then, without another word, they turned and walked back to their ships. The crafts lifted slowly, vanishing into the dark clouds, leaving behind only silence. The light slowly faded, but the glow of the forest returned, brighter, warmer than before. The trees shimmered with new colors, the rivers of light running faster like blood through living veins. The Luminar looked at Arya with something close to wonder. You did what we could not. You made the heart remember. Arya smiled faintly. I didn't do it alone. The planet remembered what it was to breathe. Kyle placed a hand on her shoulder. Captain, the scans show a steady energy flow from the core. The planet is alive again. Arya looked toward the horizon. A faint glow touched the edge of the sky. Not full daylight, but a soft silver hue that blended with the stars. It was neither night nor day, but something in between. Peaceful. Mira whispered. It's beautiful. The Luminar nodded. It is balance. The world does not need to hide anymore. Arya took a deep breath, feeling warmth in her chest. Neither do we. That night, as the crew sat beside the glowing river, the air felt different, lighter. They shared quiet laughter, small smiles, and the simple peace of being alive. Kyle leaned back, gazing at the shimmering canopy above. You know, he said softly, for a world trapped in darkness, it taught us a lot about light. Arya smiled. And about breathing again. He looked at her. What now, Captain? She turned her eyes toward the distant temple, now shining faintly in the silver glow. We stay for a while. Help the Luminar rebuild, then maybe we carry their lesson to other worlds, Mira smiled. A new mission? Arya nodded. Not to fight. To remind others what humanity really is. The Luminar approached then, bowing slightly. Your people carry the fire of life. You turn darkness into breath. You will always be welcome here. Arya stood, placing her hand over her heart. Thank you. for teaching us that stillness is not emptiness, it's where life begins again. The luminar smiled, its body glowing like dawn breaking through clouds. And your hearts have learned to breathe. The night air filled with gentle music, the wind through glowing leaves, the soft hum of a living world. The crew of the Erebus Dawn sat together in quiet awe, their hearts light for the first time in years. Above them, the stars seemed closer, brighter, and alive once more. Humanity had not conquered the night. They had learned to live within it, and in that stillness their hearts remembered how to breathe.